Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare wheat pennies. These classic coins hold an incredible history, and some are worth millions. So today, we are gonna uncover the rarest varieties, their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, we're unlocking the secrets of one of the most iconic coins in American history, the 1917 wheat penny. This humble little coin, often dismissed as just another cent, could actually be hiding a massive secret, one that could make it the crown jewel of your collection. Let's dive deep into why this penny is not just copper in history, but potentially pure gold for collectors. Over 100 years old, the 1917 wheat penny was minted during a time when the world was at war, and the U.S. was just entering World War I. In a period of uncertainty and change, this coin was circulating in everyday pockets, slipping through the fingers of soldiers, farmers, factory workers, an everyday companion in extraordinary times. That alone gives it serious historical value. Now, what makes the 1917 wheat penny truly stand out to collectors isn't just its age. It's the beautiful design and what lies beneath the surface. On the front, you'll see Abraham Lincoln, proud and determined, designed by Victor D. Brenner, the same design introduced in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday. Flip it over, and you're greeted with two wheat stalks curving around the words 1 cent, giving the coin its beloved nickname, the wheat penny. But wait, here's where it gets really exciting. You see, not all 1917 wheat pennies are created equal. Most were heavily circulated and show major signs of wear, which reduces their value. But if you find one that's crisp, detailed, and hasn't seen much handling, especially one with a strong strike and little to no wear, you're looking at something much rarer. And then there are the error coins. Oh yes, this is where collectors really perk up. One of the most sought-after features is the double die obverse, a striking error where the details on Lincoln's portrait and the lettering, like "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," appear doubled. These doubling errors happened during the minting process and were never intended to be released. But some slipped through, and those few mistakes? They turned out to be collector gold. Other things that boost the value of a 1917 wheat penny include its mint mark. Coins from the Denver Mint, marked with a D, and especially those from the San Francisco Mint, marked S, are more scarce and high-grade. Combine that with a clean, reddish-brown copper tone, and you've got a coin that serious collectors are willing to fight for. And now, the part you've all been waiting for. If you happen to own a 1917 wheat penny that's in near-perfect condition, with that incredibly rare double die error, and it's been graded at the top by a reputable grading service, your coin could be worth as much as $82,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny, just 1 cent from 1917, can be worth more than some luxury cars today. So don't ignore that old change jar in your attic. Grab a magnifying glass, look closely, and who knows, you might just be holding on to a piece of American history worth a fortune. Top 2, we're talking about the 1939 wheat penny, a coin that most people overlook, but collectors know could be worth a small fortune. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might be racing to check your coin collection. And trust me, you'll want to hear every detail. Let's rewind to 1939. America was pulling itself out of the Great Depression, and the world was on the brink of World War II. People were tightening their belts, and pennies truly mattered. In fact, the wheat penny was one of the most common coins in everyone's pocket at the time. But while millions were minted, not all 1939 pennies are the same. And that's where things get really interesting. At first glance, the 1939 wheat penny looks just like its brothers from other years. Abraham Lincoln's familiar face on the front, and those two elegant wheat stalks on the back that give the coin its classic name. But here's the secret. Within the 1939 batch are some coins that are far from ordinary. What makes them valuable isn't just age. It's condition, rarity, and most of all, minting errors. Now let's talk about those errors, because this is where the thrill begins. Some 1939 wheat pennies have what collectors call a double die, a rare mistake where the coin's design is stamped twice ever so slightly off. This causes letters like Liberty or the date, 1939, to appear doubled. It's not always easy to see with the naked eye, but under magnification, That doubling turns an ordinary penny into a prized treasure. There are also examples of off-center strikes and repunched mint marks, where the mint letter, like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, was punched more than once, slightly misaligned. These types of small flaws might seem like imperfections, but in the world of coin collecting, they're golden. Why? Because they're rare. And collectors crave coins that stand out from the rest. But rarity alone isn't enough. Condition plays a huge role. A 1939 wheat penny that's been tossed around in pockets for decades isn't going to bring in big bucks. But one that has been preserved in near-perfect, uncirculated condition? That's a whole different story. Combine a high-grade coin with a dramatic error, and what you've got is a masterpiece. A rare slice of American history that collectors dream of owning. And now, for the part that's going to blow your mind, a 1939 wheat penny, with a rare mint error and preserved in top-grade condition, has been valued at as much as $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. One little penny, worth $80,000. So the next time you're sorting through an old coin jar or flipping through your grandfather's collection, pay close attention to those wheat pennies. Look closely, because you just might have a forgotten fortune sitting right under your nose. Top 3, we're diving into the secrets behind this humble penny. By the end of this video, you might want to dig through your old change, because that little copper coin in your collection could be worth a fortune. Let's take a trip back to 1941. The United States was on the edge of entering World War II. It was a year full of tension, patriotism, and change. And while the world was shifting, millions of these pennies were being quietly minted across the country, from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. They were used daily, passed through thousands of hands, and forgotten by most. But not all of them are ordinary. What makes a 1941 wheat penny valuable isn't just its age. It's a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and very specific minting mistakes that collectors absolutely love. First off, condition matters. A penny that's worn down from years of use might only be worth face value. But a coin that has sharp details, original color, and no signs of wear, that's when collectors start to take notice. These top-grade coins are hard to find, especially from this era. Now let's talk about the real showstoppers, the error coins. Some 1941 wheat pennies have doubled dies, where parts of the design appear stamped twice, creating a ghost-like doubling effect on the date, the word liberty, or even in God we trust. These doubling errors didn't happen often, and only a handful ever made it out of the mint. Then there are coins with off-center strikes, where the design is pushed to one side, or repunched mint marks, where a letter like D or S appears doubled because it was punched more than once during minting. Each of these flaws turns a common penny into a collector's dream. The reason these errors are so valuable is simple: scarcity. Out of the millions of 1941 pennies made, only a tiny fraction have these mistakes, and even fewer have survived in pristine, untouched condition. Collectors are drawn to coins like this because they represent a perfect combination of history, rarity, and mystery. Every error tells a story. Every preserved penny is a piece of time frozen in metal. And if you've got one that ticks all the boxes, high grade, rare error, clean strike, well, you're in for a surprise. So here it is. The moment you've been waiting for, a 1941 wheat penny with the right error, in near-perfect condition, has been valued as high as $78,000. Yes, that's $78,000 for a single penny. So go ahead. Check your drawers, your jars, your grandparents' old coin folders. That forgotten piece of copper might just be a jackpot in disguise. Top 4, we're talking about one of the most fascinating coins in American history. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and why this little copper coin could be your next big discovery. Let's rewind to 1944. World War II was raging. Steel, copper, and other metals were being redirected to support the war effort. Coins, like everything else, were affected. In fact, just 1 year earlier, in 1943, the U.S. Mint actually produced pennies made of steel instead of copper to conserve materials for ammunition and machinery. But in 1944, copper pennies returned. Millions were minted, but not all were created equal. Most 1944 wheat pennies were struck using recycled shell casings from the battlefield, a patriotic touch that turned war debris into everyday currency. But here's where it gets interesting. Among these coins, a few were accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchets. And that's what collectors dream about. There are ultra-rare 1944 steel cents, coins that were mistakenly struck using leftover steel blanks from the previous year. These are among the rarest pennies ever made and are instantly recognizable by their silver-gray color. Only a few are known to exist, but even the regular copper 1944 wheat pennies can be incredibly valuable. If they come with rare errors or are in exceptional condition, let's talk errors. Some 1944 pennies were minted with off-center strikes, where the design is shifted and not aligned properly. Others have doubled dies, where parts of the text, like Liberty or the date, appear doubled due to a misalignment during minting. You might also find repunched mint marks, especially on coins from the Denver or San Francisco mints, where the small mint letter was punched more than once, creating a distinct doubling effect. And here's the key. Combine one of these rare errors with a coin in uncirculated or mint state condition, and you've got something truly special. Most 1944 pennies have been through decades of wear, pocket scratches, coin jars, vending machines. But if you happen to find one that's been preserved beautifully, with strong details and that original copper glow, collectors will line up to get their hands on it. Because in the world of coin collecting, condition is king, and rarity is gold. Now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. A 1944 wheat penny, struck with a rare error and preserved in pristine, top-grade condition, has been valued as high as $76,000. Yes, you heard that right. One small penny. One giant value. So don't ignore those old coins lying around. That little copper piece in your desk drawer or tucked away in a family album could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Top 5, we're revealing the untold story of the 1946 wheat penny, a coin that looks ordinary but might be anything but. Don't blink, because what you're about to learn could turn your pocket change into a serious payday. The year was 1946. World War II had just ended, and America was stepping into a new era of hope and rebuilding. Soldiers were coming home, factories were shifting back to peacetime production, and pennies were back to being made entirely of copper, just like before the war. On the surface, the 1946 wheat penny seems pretty standard. It has the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, and those two graceful wheat stalks on the back. Simple, elegant, familiar, but not all 1946 wheat pennies are created equal. You see, while millions of these coins were minted, only a tiny fraction have what collectors call the wow factor. And it's all about rarity, condition, and those fascinating little minting mistakes that slip through the cracks. Let's break it down. First, there are 3 types of 1946 wheat pennies based on where they were made. No mint mark for Philadelphia, a small D for Denver, and an S for San Francisco. Among these, coins from the San Francisco Mint tend to be the trickiest to find in high-grade condition, and that alone gives them collector appeal. But now comes the exciting part, the errors. Some 1946 pennies were struck with doubled dies, creating a shadow-like effect on the letters or numbers, especially around the date or the word Liberty. Others have repunched mint marks, where the letter S or D appears doubled or misaligned. And then there are off-center strikes, where the entire design is shifted noticeably to one side, turning the coin into a one-of-a-kind misprint. Why do collectors go crazy for these errors? Because they're rare, unintentional, and nearly impossible to replicate. They give each coin a story, an identity that sets it apart from the millions of others. And here's the kicker. Condition matters just as much. A coin with a unique error is exciting, but if it's scratched, faded, or heavily worn, its value drops fast. But a coin with a strong strike, original luster, and minimal handling? That's where the real magic happens. So now, imagine this. A 1946 wheat penny with a rare minting error, in near-perfect uncirculated condition, fully authenticated and graded by a trusted agency. That single copper coin has been valued at as much as $75,000. Yes, $75,000 for one penny. So the next time you're sorting through your change, think twice before tossing that old wheat penny aside. It might just be the most valuable thing you've ever owned without knowing it. If you enjoyed this video and love uncovering coin secrets, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more jaw-dropping finds, and tap the bell so you never miss a hidden treasure. Keep your eyes open, your coins close, and remember, history sometimes hides in the smallest places.